Hello everyone, my name is Smithy and welcome back to RuneScape for Dummies. Today we're going to be going through the Slayer boss, the Abyssal Sire, which is an Abyssal Demon Slayer boss variant that you can do while on Abyssal Demon tasks. We're going to be going through how to get to the boss, what gear setup you need, your inventory setup, best practices there, how to get there, and some tips and tricks on how to take on the boss. And, increase how many KC you can get per trip. So before we get into kind of the gear setup, inventory setup, etc., let's go through some real hard requirements that you need to have done before you can even think about doing the Abyssal Sire. The first one is to do Abyssal Demons or to be assigned a Slayer task to do Abyssal Demons, you need 85 Slayer. Now, Abyssal Demons, you can go and kill if you've got Wild Pies and you can boost, but with all Slayer bosses, you need to be on task to face them or kill them, however you want to put it. You can't do it if you're not on task. So that means you need to have 85 Slayer before you can even, fight the damn boss. So if you've not got 85 Slayer, go away, grind your Slayer, come back, and then we can talk about some Sire. But the main hard requirement, level wise or stats wise, is 85 Slayer. Now, quest wise, there is a hard requirement there as well. You need to have started and got to the point in Fairytale Part 2 where you have access to fairy rings. Or Fairytale Part 2, Cure the Queen, or Cure a Queen, whatever it's called. Fairytale Part 2, you need to have done enough of it. You don't need to completely finish the quest, you just need to unlock fairy rings. Now that quest not necessarily is a hard requirement for everyone because there are two ways to get to Abyssal Sire, but for the purpose of this guide, get it done. It's an easy quest. Or easy quest line. If you're doing Sire, you're probably high enough level to go and do the quest. Just do it. It's gonna make your life so much easier. So get it done. Another thing to point out is if you are going to get there without using fairy rings, you need to risk all your gear by going into the wilderness and go through the abyss. You don't want to do that. Just get fairy rings, mate. Just do it. So now we get on to the kind of suggested stat requirements. You probably want to be looking at having 85 attack and strength, just so you can get enough DPS down to actually make this effective kills. 80 defense as well, just because you're going to be taking a lot of damage quite quickly, so you need some high defense so you kind of don't take as much damage. That's what defense is for. 80 range as well is a pretty good kind of base level to go on. 92 magic for the spells that we're going to be using, which is going to be Shadow Barrage, and also we're going to be using Blood Barrage as well. Blood Barrage is optional if you don't mind only getting a few KC a trip, but for this guide, we're going to be using Blood Barrage, so level 92 is what you need, my friend. If you don't want to get that, 88, because you're going to need Shadow Barrage. Now, prayer-wise, we are going to be using Piety, which is level 70, so that's kind of the requirement there for prayer, but if you don't have level 70, you need to have at least Protect from Melee, which is 43. Here are my stats that I'm going to be using. It just makes kills a little bit quicker when your stats are a bit higher. That's how numbers work and stats work. But these are my stats that I'm going to be using when I do the KCs in this guide. But suggested requirements wise: 85 attack and strength, 80 defense and range, 92 magic, or 88 if you don't want to use Blood Barrage, and 70 prayer. Now, how to get there. So, if we look on the map, I'm over in the Farming Guild at the moment, if you don't know where I am. If you are going to use the non-fairy ring, you're going to want to run over to the Abyss, Zamorak Mage, who takes you to the Abyss, which is around here, just north of Edgeville. But for what we're going to be using the fairy ring, and that is the fairy ring. DIP is the fairy ring that we're going to be using. Now, I've got a Lunar Staff. You can use a Draymond Staff. That's completely fine. It's just I've got Lunar Diplomacy and that quest line completed. I've also got a Quest Cape, which means that I can teleport to just next to, as I'll show you, I can teleport just next to where a fairy ring is, which is literally just over here. Or you can use, like an RD Cloak. That teleports you pretty close to a fairy ring as well. Or if you've got one in your house, you can use the lovely house teleports for that. Now, because I've already started talking about it, let's talk about the inventory. So I've got a crystal bow, which we're going to be using for the respiratory systems. We've also got 3 prayer pots. Prayer pots, how many you take is personal preference. Same with kind of the food that I've got here as well. I do recommend bringing tick food, so having some sort of food and then a Karam one, so you can tick eat, which means you can get enough, you can get maximum food or more food within 1 game tick. I've then got my super attack and super strength pots. If you've got super combats, congratulations. I don't have those because I'm a Scuffed Iron Man and I don't have the Herbalore level to make them, but you can bring super combats as well. You're going to want some way to get rid of poison damage. So I've got an antidote plus, bring whatever you want there to remove poison. And then my food, I've got 5 sharks, Karam ones out the wazoo, 12 of them. Quick maths, I know. But for the method that we're going to be going through, you don't need loads of food. You're just going to need it just in case shit hits the fan. You take a lot of damage from one of the phases and you need to get your hit points up quickly. That's why we've got this food here. Once you start getting into the rhythm of Sire, you can start to bring less food and more prayer pots and start working your way up that way. Now, we've got house teleports because we're actually on the ancient spellbook, which means you also need to have desert treasure done to access that spellbook. And then I've got my lunar staff or Drayman staff, and I've also got my quest point cape. As I said, that's my way of getting to a fairy ring. If you don't have that, like I said, Ardy Cloak, or if you've got your house teleport, your house in order, and you've got a fairy ring there, you can just use your house teleports. Now, I've got a divine rune pouch. If you haven't got a 4-slot rune pouch yet, just get rid of one of the foods and take the one of the runes that I've got in my pouch. Now, if I open here, you're going to need death runes, blood runes, air runes, and soul runes. These are for the spells Shadow Barrage and also Blood Barrage. I will list out all of the requirements that I've mentioned in the description as well. So if you want a quick glance at what you need to do, look down below, it'll all be there. Let's move on to our equipment. So I've got a Slayer helm. If you don't have a Slayer helm, replace that with whatever your best in slot melee helm is. Maybe you've got a Fremi helm or whatever the one is where you put the Basilisk jaw on. I don't know, I don't have that, so I don't know what it's called. But Slayer helm's best in slot, gives you bonus. I've also got an imbued Slayer helm, which gives you the bonus with range and magic attack as well. I've then got a Fire cape, whatever your best in slot melee cape is. I've got a Fury, whatever your best in slot amulet is for melee. I've then got a Blessing, just so I've got some more I've got some prayer bonus. The Arclight, because Sire is a demon, I'm using Arclight here. You could use a whip, you could use whatever your best in slot melee weapon is, but the Arclight I definitely would recommend for its spec as well. I've then got a Fighter Torso for the strength bonus. Use whatever your best in slot melee. I think you said melee top is, or plate body. And then I've got Dragon Defender as well. Again, for the attack bonuses, you could bring a rune shield or whatever you want if you're a little bit lower level. Then got a Varrock's plate skirt for a bit of tanky legs. Whatever your best in slot melee legs are, again, you could use Obby legs, you could use Darrock's legs, Torag's legs, rune plate legs if you really want to, but whatever your best in slot is. Then I've got my best in slot melee gloves, which is Barrow's gloves, best in slot boots, which is my dragon boots with the added G for, a little bit of bling, and then I've got a berserker ring imbued. Again, whatever your best in slots are here is what you can use. Better the gear, the quicker the kills, the more kills you're going to get per inventory. You know how it works. But anyway, we're now going to head over to Sire. So we're going to use we're going to equip our Lunar Staff or Drayman Staff, and then, we'll configure our Fairy Ring, which is just going to take us to DIP, because I'm the VIP. And then we're going to do Other Realms, Abyssal Nexus, confirm, and we're going to head over. Now, I prefer to go to the northwestern portion, which is this up here. But you've actually got 4 different places that you can fight Sire. You can pick one, whatever you want. But if you are going to be importing my tiles for your rune light, you're going to want to go to the northwestern. So we're going to run through here. I've got a tile marker here just so I remember what one I've got marked up. If it's been a while since I've been to Sire, that does really help. Little tip for you. And I will say this later on in the video as well, but if you do want to use my tiles, I will have them over on my Discord. Link to that is in the description. You can copy and paste them into your RuneLight. So keep running northwest. You start to see the tiles appear on screen. And we're going to run up to where we're going to start our first KC. Look at that big spooky boy over there. That's Sire. So you do have some options as well with the shadow spells that you use. So Shadow Rush has a 25% chance of stunning Sire. Burst has a 50% chance. Blitz, 75% chance. And Barrage, which we're going to be using, has a 100% chance. Really, you want to be using Shadow Barrage because you don't want to be dicking about casting about 1 million spells. But the other three are options, which does bring down the requirements for Mage if you do decide to use those. Another little tip that I would say is when you're on your spellbook, you can see here, I've only got these spells on here. So if you do, I'll show you how it looks normally. So that's how it looks normally. You don't want to have your teleports here just in case you pick up runes that allow you to, because it does drop lore runes, which is nice for Iron Men, but a pain in the arse if you accidentally send yourself to the wilderness, you know. So go to filters, uncheck show teleport spells, go off your filters, and then you've only got the combat ones. Means you don't accidentally fuck up and click and send yourself to the gulag. You don't have to worry, mate. Just do that. Okay, so you've made it to Sire. It's time to get your first KC of the trip. What we're going to do is drop one of our sharks and switch to our crystal bow. And then we're going to cast Shadow Barrage on Sire. Now, Shadow Barrage is used to send him to sleep, so you don't get hit by the tentacles when you're taking out the respiratory system. So we're going to take out the first one. Boom, boom, boom. And don't you lag on me. There you go. You can see that one's now dead. We've got 10 seconds, so we might as well cast another Shadow Barrage on Sire. And then run down south and take out the next one. Now, sometimes you might be able to cheese it and get 2 respiratory systems with 1 Shadow Barrage. And we've still got 12 seconds on the clock, as you can see here. That is how long Sire is stunned for. So we'll be able to get a couple of hits in before we need to go and re-shadow spell. There we go. When it starts getting to the red, that means run, rabbit, run. So cast another Shadow Barrage, run back down. Attack the respiratory system down here again. Okay. Bit of RNG on the hits would be nice. There we go. Right, now we can run up to the last one, which is just here. I guess northeast. And we can take that up. Before we finish it off, we want to move up a little bit higher. One more Shadow Barrage should do it. Tentacles go back to snooze mode. And there we go. Right, so you want to run to the right square, and you want to drink your super attack, your super strength. If you've got super combat, congratulations, you can use that. Switch on our spec, and when Sire gets to about here, make sure that you've got your prayer on. So now we want to dump both of our specs. You can use claws if you've got them, if you're fancy. I haven't got claws, so we're not going to bother. But on this phase, Sire can do about 5 different attacks. One that we're praying from, which is just the bit of a slap. The tentacles can come down and hit us, or it can spawn a little poison spawn, as we'll see later on. But we're getting it down to sub 200 hit points there. So now we can run down, and we want to switch to protect from range. So now Sire's going to plant itself and close up a bit, and start to spawn the spawns, and we can start to see these poison pools on the floor that you want to be 2 squares away at all times. So now, because we've got it sub, I think it's 120, we need to run away. If you're close to that, you're going to get hit really, really hard. You need to run back and now start hitting it again. Okay, and we need to keep jockeying the poison pools by running back and forth. I think it's either 3 or 4 that it does, and then it stops doing it. Sometimes it will continue to keep doing it, and you've got to keep, jumping about. And there we go. That is Sire done and defeated. Now, turn off your prayer. You don't need it now. You can pick up your loot if you want, we are going to do that, actually. We're going to pick up those cosmic runes. I'm going to quickly drop... Oh, sharks despawned. Oh, no. You can pick that up if you've got time, but anyway, doesn't really matter. So, the next time, now you can see we've got 63 hit points. Our prayer's a little bit low, so, you know, drink your prayer or your super restores, whatever you've brought. And now we're going to be getting our hit points back using blood spells. So this is what you'll be doing for your KCs after your first KC of the trip. So again, we're going to cast Shadow Barrage on Sire. We want to do it once and then twice. And now, instead of using our Crystal Bow, we're going to use our blood spells on the respiratory systems. Now, you don't need to bring any gear switches because the respiratory systems have really, really low defense. I think it's 0. So you don't need to bring a range switch. You don't need to be a mage switch at all. You can just cast your spells and you'll be good to go. Right, so we're going to cast another Shadow Barrage on Sire just to keep them asleep. And we're going to run down to our second one. We've still not got full HP, so we're going to keep using our blood spells. Keep them going, keep them going, keep them going. Okay, that should be that one done after that cast. There we go. Right, we're going to whack another shadow spell. Back to sleep, Sire. To snooze you go. I've also got my F keys bound. I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet, but I've got my F keys bound. So F1 is my inventory, F2 is my prayers, F3 is my spellbook. Right, so now that we've, used up we're back to full health, you can then switch to your range. You can keep using magic if you want to. It's really up to you. And there we go. So, I'm going to run back up, finish off the last one. And away we go. Right, so Sire's woken up again. Cast your Shadow Barrage. Like, if you do stand by the tentacles, if you've got tanky gear on, they might not hit for anything, but they can hit for like 20s. So I can't remember what the max hit is off the top of my head, but it's just a bit of a pain in the arse. It's all right if they hit you when you've got like 3 respiratory systems left, because you can get your health back up with the blood spells, but you don't really want to chance it. Okay, so now we're already potted up. Sire is waking up over there, and when it gets to about this line here, whack your prayers on, put your spec on, and get gaming. Lovely. Always missing those specs, aren't we? So, same again, we're going to be taking on Sire. Like I was saying, it can do multiple different attacks on this phase, but we've now seen them all. See, like we can see it's bringing down this little spawn. You want to kill the spawn as soon as possible, because it'll then turn into an Abyssal Demon, which has a little bit more health. And don't worry if you're not getting XP drops on this, because, they don't always give XP because they're so weak. But anyway, we're still aiming to get it down to below 200, and then we can do the next phase. And we can see now it's done that poison thing, which is really annoying because it does do some pretty hefty damage. So you want to keep your eye on the prize, and ready to walk away if you need to. So there we go, it's at 200 hit points. I'm going to run down here, I'm going to pick up my food that I dropped, and we're going to switch to Protect from Range. I'm going to sip a prayer pot while it's walking down as well, while it gets rooted, and attack. So now we want to keep jockeying between the two, because we've done enough damage, that's coming a little bit quicker, and then we can get back to gaming. So again, keep jockeying the between the two tiles, like so. And now we don't have to worry about them. If you are out of food, you can always cast like a blood barrage here. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get shit on. But yeah, now just finish the kill. Go on, one more hit. Come on, you want to. You want to. There we go. Bang. And there is Sire defeated. Look at that. We got treated to some sour brews. Lovely. And you shouldn't need to really eat here. I am, because I want to pick up the sour brew. I'm going to drop one of these as well. Oh my days, there's loads of sour brews. But yeah, you want to now do the same again that we just did with the blood barrages to heal up on these respiratory systems once you awaken Sire with a shadow barrage. And you want to, get your prayer back up, ready to go again. Very, very simple once you get, in the motion of it. It's just, you know, learning it and getting gaming with it. You know what I mean? All of these tiles that you can see on the floor will be available on the Discord. So if you want to, you know, use them for yourself, put them onto your RuneLite. What I'll do is I'll import or export the ground markers onto the Discord, and then all you need to do is copy and paste them. And when they're on your copy paste, all you need to do is right click and click import, and it will import these tiles straight into your RuneLite. FYI, I am up in the Never Eat Shredded Wheat Northwest room, so it's not going to do it for this room or this room or this room. They'll just paste in onto this Northwest part of the Nexus. No, whatever this place is bloody called. But you know what I mean. Anyway, they'll be available on the Discord, and link to that is in the description, and it will be in the useful content channel over there. Now, that is really everything with Sire. It's a bit of a pain in the arse. Ideally, you want to have a maxed house, and you can just, you know, teleport back and forth between your house and use the fairy ring to get back here. So you can use your ornate pool to re-heal, get your spec back, get your prayer back, and get your stats back up. I don't have that. This is the scuff way to do it. We're not doing it the most efficient way, but having a maxed house would be very beneficial. Yeah, and having the Lumbridge Elite Diary done, which means you don't need the Lunar Staff or the Drayman Staff for the Fairy Ring as well. The food is really only for panic eating, in case you're getting absolutely dunked on. Other than that, you know, you can use the blood spells in between the kills to keep your hit points up. But yeah, I hope you guys have found the guide useful. If you have, please do consider dropping a like. Any questions, drop them down in the comment section down below, and subscribe for more guides like this. There's a whole plethora of content on the channel similar to this guide for other bosses around RuneScape, other skills, anything and everything. There'll be a playlist as well in the description called RuneScape for Dummies, or just OSRS guides. I've got, you know, different guides for different things that not necessarily fall into the RuneScape for Dummies category, but there's loads of content that you might find beneficial. So have a little look around, and yeah, subscribe, and stay safe. Bye.